Dr. McCarthy, as county executive, you have the responsibility to prepare an annual operations and capital budgets for the county council approval. In creating these budgets, how will you balance the need to address county needs with the level of taxes and fees on county businesses and taxpayers?
First thing I would do is try to determine what the revenues would be for the coming year. At that point, I would try to prioritize all of the issues, putting safety, education, and probably, all of the necessary things, EMS and so forth and so on top of the list. At that point, after prioritizing it, I would start assigning the monies to these different groups, basically giving most money where it's most needed in order to establish a functional, budget responsive government. I would just basically do it on a priority basis, essentially. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schneckenberger.
Well, basically, I am a fiscal conservative, so whatever revenues that are coming in for a fiscal year, we're going to balance and match on our priorities on the budget side. Last year was a very interesting budget cycle. We had a county executive budget come to us with a 2.2 increase in property taxes, and we basically had a large funding priority for the Cecil County Public Schools. We wanted to meet that. Not only did we meet that, but we also kept the tax rate down where taxes were not raised, property taxes were not raised. In the midst of that, I looked for cuts and efficiencies upwards of $4 million in the Cecil County budget, and County Council ended up adopting closer to $2 million of that. So we still had some things on the table, but that's what we compromised to come up with a balanced budget last year.
Thank you. Mr. Carabetta?
Yes. I spent 34 years building budgets. I'm going to start from the ground up. We're going to look at our requirements, our priorities, and build each budget. We're going to be engaging with the department heads throughout the year. It's not just going to be an exercise in the spring. We're going to look at what's required. I will not raise taxes, bottom line, because the citizens of this county have been getting hit on the chin, especially the last 2 years. We did have a 2% tax increase, despite what Mr. Schneckenberger is saying, because they took away our early payment deposit, and they also raised the transfer tax amongst other fees. So I'm going to take the budget apart piece by piece, and I've done this for a long time. Thank you.
Mr. McDonald?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. As county executive, you have the responsibility to prepare an annual operations and capital budgets for Cecil County Council approval. In creating these budgets, how will you balance the need to address county needs with the level of taxes and fees on county businesses and taxpayers?
The county has to have priorities. And our public schools, our law enforcement, and our county employees have to be funded to the level that they require. Not necessarily the level that they want, but the level they require. Ensuring that we are meeting the county's needs and not adding additional taxes and fees. And just so it was the property transfer tax increase, tipping fee increase, elimination of early pay discount on property taxes. Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Schneckenberger both voted to increase those. We'll need to make sure that we are balancing those needs against the income that the county currently has. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Schneckenberger, the public school system receives the largest single expenditure from the county budget each year. What is your perception of the performance of Cecil County public schools, and how will you provide the necessary local support to ensure 16,000 students have the opportunity for a high-quality education?
Well, first, my perception, Mike, of the Cecil County Public Schools is very good. I think we have exceptional teachers in our system, and I always love talking to them and finding out what's going on in the classrooms and how we can be helped from the Cecil County government. I do know that the main issues, if people say, where's the value in education? It's really, our STEM academies are tremendous in in this county. We had great graduates that come out, they're very smart, they go out to have scholarships in college, they really show the investment of education. Our School of Technology, the new one, and now we'll never be able to turn away a child. Everybody gets in, is a tremendous investment that the county government did a few years ago. It's now up to 510 students and doing tremendously well. So one of the challenges is some of the Title I schools, but I believe we have to continue to work to try to bring the level of education up with the rest.
Mr. Carmetta, you have 60 seconds for a response.
Yes, I think the most important thing with the schools right now, is, in my mind, is all the deferred maintenance. There's $44 million in deferred maintenance. This year they're requesting $5.3 million in the budget. We've got to have some of these repairs have to be made, because these schools, if a boiler goes up, we can do a lot more damage to a school than what the cost of a boiler. So this needs to be worked on. So there's going to be some pains in the budget, but we've got to, my opinion is we cannot build more infrastructure as far as buildings and stuff until we take care of what we got. It's just plain common sense. Thank you.
Mr. McDonald, 60 seconds.
Could you repeat, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. The public school system receives the largest single expenditure from the county budget each year. What is your perception of the performance of Cecil County Public Schools, and how will you provide the necessary local support to ensure 16,000 students have the opportunity for a high-quality education?
This is an opportunity to collaborate heavily with Dr. Devine and the Board of Education. They're the experts. They know what's needed for our public schools, which I do firmly believe do an excellent job of educating our children. We up here are not the experts, but we need to be supportive and make sure that they have the resources that they require. This year, as Mr. Carabetta alluded to, $44 million of deferred maintenance. We must absolutely aggressively address that deferred maintenance. This year, I would have funded that maintenance of effort, and I know can be a dirty word in the education area, but fund that maintenance of effort. There was an additional several $millions coming from the state, and then take the money that would be sent to the bond money that would have been proposed for the Cal Regional Park, and put that toward deferred maintenance this year.
Dr. McCarthy.
$80 million, which is provided to Cecil County Public Schools, is a large sum of money. However, if you basically compare it to the value that you're going to receive moving forward, it's really a very insignificant amount of money. You're dealing with children now that you have one chance to make a permanent, lifelong impact upon. By doing a good job at this, these will become good citizens. They'll probably live another 60 to 70 years later. They will add value every day of their lives to our communities or whatever communities that they should live in. I would support and do everything that I could within our physical means to support and provide the necessary structures and equipment and utensils to basically make their high school education as basically profitable as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Carabetta, is there a proper balance between commercial, industrial development, and residential development? This is the second part to that question. If elected, how will you provide the leadership to address the proper relationship of business growth and residential growth? 60 seconds.
It's obvious from many land use studies that the commercial brings in about $1.38, or excuse me, costs us about $50 for every the dollar spent. We have to bring the businesses. Residential costs us $1.38. So we have to, if we cannot have a viable, financially stable county on the backs of residential, we have to have the businesses. And that's why I'm proposing to cut the business personal property tax. It sends a message to the businesses that Cecil County is open for business, and we look and cut regulations. And that's what we're going to have to do, because we can't do it in residential alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald.
So we have to aggressively market Cecil County. We are in competition with Delaware, and we do have burdensome regulation, which we need to address, absolutely. I told Mr. Carabetta this beforehand. He mentioned his removing of the tax, the corporate tax. I fully support that. I think that is an excellent idea and an excellent way to send the message that we are indeed open for business. Aggressively marketing Cecil County. Here is an opportunity where business is better at business than government. We can create an incentive-based program, an incentive-based contract, and have a marketing company and sales company go out there and sell Cecil County. People who are good at it, people who are experts in that area, while we deal with the regulations that are preventing people from coming to Cecil County. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McCarthy.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the question.
Is there a proper balance between commercial, industrial development and residential development? If elected, how will you provide the leadership to address the proper relationship of business growth and residential growth?
One of the most important things to keep in mind is that we need to expand the taxable base. By creating the infrastructure, putting it in the ground, attracting clean businesses, we basically have expanded this. Most businesses require very little services. For example, that they need healthcare. I mean, they don't need healthcare. They really don't need too many services. The service they do need, they pay for, and most of the time they don't have children in high school, which basically is very expensive. By growing this base, we're attracting people, we're creating jobs, we're creating opportunities, and by doing these things, we are basically adding revenue to the county to pay for the things that basically we're having a difficult time paying for now. We need to be competitive with other counties, other states, in order to attract good jobs, pay them livable wages for our area. The world has become much more complex and is much more competitive, and if we don't create these types of opportunities by giving incentives to attract businesses, then we will never.
I would say definitely my focus is on commercial growth. I'm so happy that the master developer at Bainbridge decided they were going to rezone their property to make 900 acres of commercial industrial property. That is job growth zoning. That's what we need. We need more taxpayers in this county, and that's what's going to happen at that site and other sites in our growth corridor. That drives new revenue sources that pay for a lot of the issues we're talking about tonight, be it education, Cecil College, infrastructure, or what have you. I think we need to have a little balance, though, on the residential side. We only pulled about 42 single-family residential permits last year. That's pretty anemic. We need to be healthy and be over 100, and I think we can do a balance of that. A healthy home building industry is good for the Cecil County economy, and we'll work on local regulations like removing the bat septic system to help get that going.
Thank you.
Mr. McDonald, since charter government was implemented in 2010, little has changed in the structure of county government from the commissioner-led government organization. Do you think this is good? Can you explain? 60 seconds.
No, there's a reason we went to charter government. We have not fully realized the capabilities of the charter government system yet. We're still in its infancy. We're still trying to feel our way through it. Executive Moore's done a good job in establishing some leadership, some precedent, some direction. We need to take that to the next level, to the next step, and continue to grow this charter government. The executive is responsible, has a very set of responsibilities to be balanced by the legislative body. And hopefully, the next executive will be able to work with the council and the delegation to Annapolis to drive Cecil County's agenda just as hard as the rest of the state of Maryland drives their agenda.
Thank you. Dr. McCarthy, you got 60 seconds to respond. Would you like your question?
Concerning the charter form of government, it's at this particular point, I don't think that we've accomplished everything that we need to, but there has been a huge transition because the commissioner form of government is far, far different from what we have now. I think that we need a strong executive. I think we need a strong executive who can basically evaluate each and every one of the primary organizations in government, put them together in a much more reasonable fashion in order to get economy of scale, get rid of redundancy, and basically utilize the people that we have in a far better manner than currently being done. We also need to have a strategy, we need to have a goal, we need to know where we're going, and we have to be able to sell this to the citizens as well as the people who work for the government. By doing this, I think we can move forward, and I think it will evolve to be what it really should be.
Mr. Schneckenberger, do you want to explain?
Yes, we certainly have a charter form of government. I worked on the charter board that actually wrote the charter and helped us successfully pass this in 2010. Now, after one term as a county executive, we've seen a demarcation between the county executive and county council, but we still have a board of county commissioner structure in our government, and I've seen it. We have old processes, we have old ways of doing things. There's plenty that we could do to refine and make more efficient county government takes advantage of the charter process. I will look at lean methodology, which is used very well in manufacturing and now government. I've been exposed to it quite a bit in my job experiences, and we'll bring that to Cecil County government to really look at the opportunities we can make that the most efficient and optimal government worthy of a charter type of government.
Thank you. Mr. Carabetta?
Yes, it's no secret, I was not in favor of charter government. I thought it was too big of a step to take. We should have went to code home rule first, but it is the law of the land right now, and I will deal with it. But I think you need a county executive here in the county that pays attention to detail. And let me cite an example. We've got two people up here that can't even follow the election law, which we are all given. Both of them have violations on their signed authority lines. And I'll pass it down to them so they know what the problem is. They need to, you have to, as a county executive, you have to pay attention to what you're doing because it could cost the taxpayers a lot. This particular violation is $500 per violation, and I don't want to cost taxpayers money. You and Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carabetta.
Dr. McCarthy, the abuse of heroin and opioids is a significant problem across this country and indeed in Cecil County. If elected, what is your plan to address this crisis?
Could you read the question once more? I think you weren't at the right. Read one more time.
Dr. McCarthy, the abuse of heroin and opioids is a significant problem across this country and indeed in Cecil County. If elected, what is your plan to address this crisis?
There would be a multi-pronged approach. The first thing that I would do is continue to basically lay it very heavily on what I will call the doctors to prescribe prescription or narcotic painkillers. Apparently 80% of all people that are heroin addicts right now started on these prescriptions. Number two, I would put my emphasis in education and prevention from the children ever taking drugs to begin with. Secondly, I would increase the amount of resources that were spent to basically rehabilitate and keep the people off of the drugs. Finally, enforcement of the drug laws would be very important to me also. I think that people need to recognize that these are not criminals, these are people that have serious medical problems. I think that the degree of mental health treatment would be very substantial in basically reducing these things. I think that we would put effort and intentions into basically trying to recreate a more stable family environment. This would be of great impact too. Furthermore, I think that we need...
Mr. Jackenberger, same question, 60 seconds, please.
Could you repeat the question again?
Sure. The abuse of heroin and opioids is a significant problem across this country and indeed in Cecil County. If elected, what is your plan to address this crisis?
My plan right now will be to follow the same sort of things that we've been doing on county council, and I think some effective things that the current county executive has been doing. We budgeted almost $300,000 to the Board of Health to run several programs identifying addicts and treating. I think some of them have worked. We have a drug czar currently that I think is an opportunity we can do a little better. We have a tremendous number of private sector and public groups called recovery houses that are doing an excellent job going forward. And I certainly believe education and maybe even some more targeted resources for law enforcement are an important part in battling back this heroin problem that's very much a problem in Cecil County, but also in areas like Newcastle County, Delaware, and also Harford County. But it is everywhere. We'll also look at best practices in the state to come up with the best solutions for the county.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carabetta, same question, please, 60 seconds.
Yes, I briefed in the first debate that we had down at BFW. It was a 3-point plan. I call it the Anaconda Plan. We'd start with early education, and I appreciate that Mr. McCarthy's surrogate group, the Cecil business leaders, have adopted my idea. I saw in the mailer that they sent out of early education. That's the first part. Second part, the police are doing a wonderful job, but we need to double down on that and really come down hard on these drug dealers. Because you see what happens in the last couple of days. We've had 3 murders in 4 days. It's mostly probably drug related, a lot of it. And finally, the recovery end of it, which is what I want. My goal would be to use that the least. That should be used the least as far as if we're accomplishing the first 2 goals, that is certainly the least. And yes, many people get involved with this because of the over-prescribing of prescription or opioids. But I also wouldn't have signed up for a letter of support to bring marijuana into the county.
Mr. McDonald, 60 seconds, please.
So according to Governor Hogan's task force, deaths from drug overdose have increased by 100% over the last 5 years. Think about that for a second. Twice the amount of deaths from something that we should be able to manage here. With law enforcement, so law enforcement doesn't need to have a key piece in this. In the prevention of getting the drugs getting into the county, we need to ensure that they have the resources they need in order to prevent drugs from even getting here. Second is we need to be in lockstep with Governor Hogan's task force, and particularly on the treatment end. These people are sick, they have an addiction, and they need help. Most importantly, education for our children, helping them understand that the path of drugs is a path to nowhere.
Mr. Steckenberger, if after 1 year of being the CEO of Cecil County, what would we say about your performance?
Well, I would hope that everyone would say that we're continuing to move in the right direction, and that the one main focus of economic growth is absolutely occurring. I would hope in several ways that we will have a tenant up at Bainbridge. I would also believe that we'll have multiple tenants in Principio Industrial Park. We've had a lot of comments tonight about infrastructure, where it needs to be, how it's funded. We have plenty of land in this county that already has infrastructure. The priority should be to develop this land moving forward and getting the incentives to bring in companies here that are going to bring the jobs, that are going to grow the revenues, to pay for the priorities that we all want in Cecil County.
Thank you. Mr. Carabetta?
Yes, I would think that people who know me know that they're going to say I'm a hard worker, I'm a fair to everyone. Everyone will be treated equally, and we're going to get the job of this county to move forward, and everyone will be treated. There's not going to be any special interest in the Joe Carabetta County Executive Administration. It's going to be everyone, the taxpayer's interest. And that's what I've lived my whole life for. My whole life's been about volunteering. I've volunteered all over this county in many organizations, and I've volunteered even in other states to help people out. And I think they'll find it very helpful and warm, and I will talk to anyone, including people that I don't agree with, but we will talk and be cordial at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald?
Well, that guy's everywhere. So it's no secret that I'm the least experienced person as far as government's related sitting at this table. But I'm a quick study and I'm a hard worker. I can assure you that I will be working diligently to make sure that the county's needs are met, that I am collaborating with our delegation to Annapolis, our department heads in the county government, and with the school board, all of the people who need the support of the county executive. Those folks are going to look around and say, man, I'm glad I elected him.
Thank you. Dr. McCarthy.
I think that at the end of 1 year, people will basically be very glad they elected me because I will have made huge inroads into the following items. I will have improved public safety and law enforcement by implementing initiatives to address the heroin addiction problem and also the attendant crime. I would have created and encouraged an economic growth plan for job creations, business development, and community revitalization. I would have created an effective and efficient government. I would have created a better educational system and a 21st century workforce. I also will have made huge strides towards making Cecil County the preferred location for new businesses. The strategic plan for development of a growth corridor, provide exceptional public services in a friendly manner, and streamline the permitting process to attract new businesses and the creation of jobs.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Let's give them all. That concludes our formal questions that we have for the candidates this evening. Each of them will have 1 minute to summarize their candidacy prior to the April 26th election. We will go in this order: Mr. Carabetta, Dr. McCarthy, Mr. McDonald, Mr. Sneckenberger. Mr. Carabetta.
Thank you, folks, and listening to the issues. My door will be open, and I want you to ask me questions, whether they're tough questions or soft questions. I'm dedicated. I don't think you would see 4 Republicans sitting up here and only 1 Democrat challenging if it wasn't for the efforts of myself and a few other people that are very dedicated to build this party. I will do the same for Cecil County. I will build Cecil County and I will not make promises I can't keep. I also will stay true to the cause. I was true to the Republican Party, unlike another individual at this table who donated $250 to Martin O'Malley, the most liberal governor in the state of Maryland, that took guns from us. So I ask for your vote on 26 April and also the early voting 14 through 21. Thank you very much.
Dr. McCarthy.
Thank you very much for attending. It's been a pleasure for me to be here. If elected, I will basically provide and do all of the things I've already stated, provided it's capable to do it all. We need to basically plant the seeds, fertilize the seeds, and watch them grow. That's what I'm offering you, not something for here and now, but a path forward which will basically bring Cecil County into the 21st century, create a more friendly, viable community, basically one that is rich with opportunities for all. That is my goal, that is my desire, and with your help it can be achieved. Thank you very much.
Mr. McDonald.
I want to thank the Chamber for having this event, and I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. First off, I'd like to say that, as you can tell, this isn't my favorite forum. I am nervous up here, and it shows, obviously. What I would like to also say is, please speak with me. Please take a look at the information that's written. I enjoy having conversation. This question and answer back and forth here is not my forte. But I can assure you, I have a vision. I have the drive, and will meet the goals that I set out to do. Please come speak with me afterwards. Thank you.
Mr. Sneckenberger.
Once again, I would like to thank Carl and the Government Relations Committee of the Cecil County Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's County Executive Forum. As a former past president of this fine organization, I know the fine work you do for promoting businesses in the county, and I would like to offer to you in the future, as if I'm elected county executive, I would like to all be partners with the Chamber and the Economic Development Commission to form a very quick committee to drive new revenues in this county. I make that commitment tonight. I believe my business experience inside and outside the county will benefit us, creating more jobs for our residents and work on increasing new revenue sources to the county that are not on the backs of existing taxpayers. I will work hard improve the professionalism of county government, and be an excellent representative of the people inside and outside the building. I will always spend tax dollars wisely and look for the short return on investments on any capital projects that are proposed during the upcoming term. I will continue to be an advocate of public safety and help find solutions to our social problems.
This has been a fantastic evening. Would you please thank the three questioners for their hard work? We can all read English, but if you're in front of 200 people and you're reading, it's pretty difficult, so I applaud that. And with it, I would say again, August 20, April 26th is incredibly critical to the future of Cecil County. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, your family members, get them to vote. We need a large turnout because we need to figure out the direction we're going and make that vote count. Thank you all for coming. Have a good evening.